In Pokemon, bug types are the weakest type in the game, from having numerous common weaknesses to most of them being early game fodder. It's no wonder you don't see most of them in competitive play. But ranking Pokemon on competitive viability is boring. Today, we're gonna go through every bug type and rank each of them solely on Aura. Make sure to watch to the end and subscribe if you liked the video. With all of that boring jargon aside, let's get started. First up is Caterpie. Now, it doesn't really look like much and just about anyone can beat it in a fight. But according to its Pokédex entry, it'll release a terrible stench from its antenna to ward away enemies. Do you know what that means? That means that it quite literally has an aura. More stink than blue lock posters. Caterpie is actually aura maxing. Of course, I'm going to be fair and also state that stink aura isn't actually real aura, so the best I'll give it is a C. Moving on, we have its evolution, Metapod. Now, we all remember Metapod for one thing and one thing only.
Metapod, hardened like his.
Maximum hardness, Metapod!
And that's all it really has going for it. Now, would you consider hardened to be aura? Maybe, but if this thing walked up to me and just hardened, I'm just kicking it like a soccer ball. So, D it goes. And to cap off this line, we have Butterfree, which is probably one of the most Nuzlocke bug types in Leaf Green. What can be said about this thing? It's one of the least menacing looking Pokemon out there. Anytime it's in official media, it's always shown in a more peaceful light. I will acknowledge, however, that it's at least got more going than Metapod, but not by much, so D. Next is Gigantamax Butterfree, and yes, G-Max and Mega Evolutions are counted as separate. Now, G-Max Butterfree decided to compensate itself with gigantic wings. If I saw this enormous Butterfree with those big wings, I think I'd also be intimidated. Throw in its exclusive max move, G-Max Befuddle, which not only causes damage, but also either poison, paralysis, or sleep. So, not only am I getting intimidated by this thing, but I'm also hit with the sort of fear-inducing intoxication you expect from a sleep paralysis demon. Though it's still Butterfree, so I'm not that intimidated. B. With that, we can head towards the Weedle line, my personal favorite, but there'll be no personal bias here whatsoever. First up, Weedle. Don't mess with my boy. If you even look at him the wrong way, he will deliver the nastiest backshots on Arceus. This here is Ras Incarnate, and he will destroy you all. C. I'm not even gonna bother with Kakuna because it's no different than Metapod, but this. Oh yes, this is it. Beedrill. Out of every bug type on this list, this one has supreme aura. The big red eyes, the large stingers, and that intimidating pose. Everything about it reads as supreme aura. Sure, as far as early bugs go, it'll lose its use later, but none of that matters when you're rocking one of the coolest bugs in the franchise, S. And we don't even need to go further with Mega Beedrill because need I say more? Just look at it. Triple S. Following the greatest bug of all time is Paris. Little guy, 2 mushrooms on his back that's slowly killing it. But dying to parasitic mushrooms isn't really aura. It also doesn't help that it'll just die to a cigarette flame either. This is a D classic. Next is Parasect, aka the parasites have taken over the corpse. Now, this Pokemon is essentially dead. In fact, it's the giant mushroom that's doing everything. Now, the fact that it's like that with no autonomy means it can't aura farm. The mushroom does not know aura. It does not farm. It only controls. Still, the parasitic factor will bump it up to a C. Venonat. It's a cute little critter. Unfortunately, that doesn't mean much for an aura ranking. So D. Venomoth. Can't really say it exudes aura. If you're a competitive player, then maybe Tinted Lens plus Quiver Dance might mean something to you. So I think I'll average it out at a B. Scyther. We all know that the answer is, but let's take a moment to look. Mantis arm blades? Cool. The slim wings that don't look obtrusive? Excellent. Fast, hard hitting? Yes and yes. S. Now, usually I'd go in order, but because Scyther's evolutions were made later, let's talk about them now. Scizor. If Scyther was already cool, Scizor is objectively even better. The color red is usually very synonymous with aggression, passion, and dominance. Despite losing those cool Mantis arms, there's something just as cool about its claw hands. According to the Pokédex entry, it's used to intimidate foes. That's tough. And the slimmer, more metallic exterior? Excellent. You know what's the most aura thing imaginable though? Technician plus Bullet Punch. Triple S. But what about Mega Scizor? Well, to be honest, I think it's cool, but just not as aura farming as the original. Okay, listen, it's aura. It's tough. I'm just gonna give him a double S and move on. Now, Kleavor. It's got a bit of a samurai aesthetic, which makes sense given the game. The 2 large stone hand axes are pretty cool, though not as cool as claw hands and mantis blades, but still cool regardless. The more primitive and rugged look is nice. Alright, I'm just gonna come clean. I'm not the biggest fan of Cleavor. When I think of Cleavor, I think of an old Japanese man chopping wood, and for that reason, it's B. Now, here comes Pinsir, who I've always had a soft spot for. I think beetles are one of the few insects I gladly interact with. Compared to Sicer, he's definitely losing out in aura points, but he's got those cool pincers on his head, so that counts for something. B. Now, his mega form is fine. I mean, okay, listen, in terms of viability, this thing is the cream of the crop. 155 base attack is ludicrous, even amongst legendaries. The wings are a cool touch, but the most I'll give this guy is an A. Next up is Ladybug, and I'm just gonna go ahead and give it the automatic D. In fact, both it and Ledian get the same grade. Not only are both of these amongst the worst bugs in the game, they don't even have a lick of aura in them whatsoever. What makes this worse is that Ledian is made to punch, which sounds great until you realize they can't even punch right. Someone in the dev team just hated this thing. Next, Spinarak. Yeah, it's pretty tough. Spiders scare me, so I'm giving this a C. Now, Ariados has serious aura. It's just too bad this thing actually sucks to use. S. After that fantastic Pokemon, we have Yanma, one of the rarest bug types to acquire in GSC. Unfortunately, despite being so rare, it's not really aura farming whatsoever. But according to the Pokédex entry, it can flap its wings fast enough to shatter windows, which is pretty tough, so it's getting a C. Yanmega, however, that's a real evolution. Look at the aura that exudes from it. Those eyes, the dark green colors, the fins on its back, everything is just a straight upgrade. Keep in mind these things are pretty big too, so that's a bonus on intimidation. Like, this is just a certified S. Now, here we have Pineco. It's a bagworm and a pinecone. The eyes probably give it a bit of aura, so I think I'm just gonna give it a C and move on. Next up is Fortress. I'm not really sure if this thing has aura or not. Like, when I look at this thing, I think of something I just punt across the screen. That's just a D for me. Sorry about that. Shuckle. Don't fuckle with Shuckle. 230 defense, 230 special defense. The face that has 0 fucks to give. But it's not Beedrill, so I'll give you double S. Next up is Heracross, who is yet another winner. Blue Beetle. It's also a fighting type. The horn is mad aura though, so S. Mega Heracross, well, I mean, it's something. The cylindrical arms are a nice touch, I suppose. The orange outlines are cool. I think it's aura, but I prefer the original. So, A it is. Now, we enter the Hoenn region, starting off with Wurmple. I love Wurmple. It's my favorite little butt-faced bug. Unfortunately, this one also has no aura whatsoever, so D. We'll start the split evolution off with Silcoon, who is just a ball of silk. D. Cascoon, purple ball. D. Beautifly. Well, it's certainly a beautiful butterfly, but that doesn't mean much for aura. None at all. Again, D. Now, Dustox. It's got a bit of aura to it. Have you ever seen moss? I've seen people freak out over them during high school, especially if they're big like Dustox. Plus, the patterns probably help if it naturally aura farms. So B. Hoenn just isn't off to a good start as we have Surskit up next. I would have given this another D had it not been for the fact that it was able to somehow aura farm in Pokemon Adventures. So I'm bumping it up to C. Masquerain, however, will not be receiving the same treatment. In fact, this thing is disappointing to me in every single way conceivable, and that's just straight depressing. D. Mikata is, well, it's just there. According to the Pokédex entry, it usually just lives underground and takes in whatever nutrients it can. No time to aura farm when it's farming that low XP bar. So this is also just another D. Ninjask. Have I ever told you how much I adore ninjas? 160 speed is one of the most intimidating things you could ever witness. Just look at the Oxus speed, speed boost, baton pass. That's textbook aura. A without question. Shedinja. Let me tell you something about my boy Shedinja. What's more aura than the fact that your skin is now alive and has a mind of its own? Imagine a husk just moving on its own and attacking people. And on top of that, it has Wonder Guard, meaning the only way it's going down from 1 HP is if it gets hit with a super effective move. Focus Sash? Now it survives 2 hits. The aura is immaculate. Triple S. This next one I'll be ranking both at the same time because, quite frankly, Volbeat and Illumise are no different from each other to me. I can't say they have aura, not even in the slightest. They look like they'd be crowned the king and queen of prom. So D. Here we have the only bug fossil line, Anorus. It's a cool little critter. Reminds me of what you see in that one Spore game. C. Most would know Armaldo from the side story in Explorers of Sky. This is one of my personal favorite fossil Pokemon, and for good reason. An absolutely great design that's sadly mocked by its own viability. Still, I'll be fair on this one. Aura-wise, it doesn't hold a candle anywhere near the top tiers, but it's still a great design that helps it out. So I think an A would be good. It isn't entering a new region without looking at the early bugs, and Kricketot has just about as much aura as any other early bug. D. Kricketune is cool, yes. The mustache gives it a bit of aura, and what's more aura farming than playing your own song while doing it? Unfortunately, it is held back by the fact that it's an early bug, so B. Next up is a pretty unique case, which is the Burmy line. Since there's different variants, we'll go through each one separately. First up is Plant Cloak Burmy. No aura because leaves. D. Next is Sandy Cloak Burmy. There's one thing to know about sand.
I don't like sand. It's coarse and rough and irritating, and it gets everywhere.
D. Trash Cloak Burmy.
I'm the trash man.
If something came at me with nothing but trash, I'd be intimidated. C. Next is Mossum, who could only be evolved for male Burmy. I said before with Dust Talks that Moss were cool. Mossum, however, is not cool. Mossum is lame. Therefore, D. I'm not gonna waste your time with Wormadam, because my opinions are the same as the other 3 Burmies, so you know where I stand on that. Combi. It's a bee. Bees are important to the ecology of nature. Bees pollinate flowers, which helps them grow. But they can also sting, and that's unfortunate. However, Combi does not sting. It's nothing but smiling emojis for faces. Therefore, D. Now, Vespa Queen can only be made by female Combi, and as we all know, women are natural aura farmers. As Queen, it makes all the other Combi do all the work. Everyone knows that if you have an army that does stuff for you, you can actually build up aura. In fact, its Pokédex entry states that it exudes pheromones to control Combi, meaning its natural aura is so strong that it can control any Combi. That's an S in my books. We'll be rounding out the last of the Sinnohs with Skorupi, whose evolution loses the bug typing for some reason, but I'm not complaining. I love this little guy. Scorpions are scary, and purple scorpions would definitely be scarier. Sure, it's a pre-evolution, but why does that matter? Any Pokemon can technically beat us in a fight. B. And now we enter the Unova region, starting with Sawaddle. If this were a cuteness ranking, this thing would be in Triple H for sure. Unfortunately, it's not. There is not a single ounce of aura within this thing. Any aura it produces would just evaporate once it leaves the body. D. Swatloon is an improvement. Horto looks like it's wearing a hood and is about to jump you at any moment. I think there's potential here, so I'll be nice with a C. And Levani, it's the nurturing Pokemon. I don't think there's much aura to be had from that. Maybe if I got angry, but even so, the aura downgrade unfortunately leaves me no choice but a D. Venipede is one of the few pre-evolutions that I feel actually exudes aura. Just looks like it's about to jump me at the Walmart if I look at it the wrong way. So, for that reason, I'll give it a B. Scolipede is a big ball. It's okay. C. Now, Scolipede is another personal favorite bug of mine. But the Shield Pokédex entry states that it engages in territorial battles against Centiskorch. Whoever wins gets to eat the loser. That is some hardcore stuff. The idea of eating Pokemon is rarely ever mentioned. It has everything going for it, but I feel like it isn't quite at the levels of Double S. S for sure. Now, with Legend ZA, we got ourselves Mega Scolipede. I haven't gotten time to really look at these new Megas personally, but seeing Scolipede, I have to say, I genuinely like it. The horns are a great touch, and that frontal armor carapace thing adds aura. Still, I just don't think it breaks into Trouble S, so it shares S with Scolipede. Rebel has no aura. In fact, it can lose more aura if it loses the rock on its back. So now it gets below D and into E, just for this one instance because I said so. Now, I can't really take Crustle seriously because every time I look at its shell, I think of marble cake. But if I saw a large chunk of cake coming at me, I think it might have some aura. So, C. Carablast is a pill-shaped friend, which I don't think gives aura. D. Cavalier is awesome. There's something about the English Knight design that just sits right with me. The Shaman armor it wears just makes it look even cooler somehow. I'm giving this one an S. Joltik is one of the most adorable bug types in the entire series, so because of that, I can't ever feel intimidated by it. D. Galvantula is a little better, but again, I just can't feel intimidated by this thing, so C. Shelmet. Unfortunately, having those kissy lips seals it from ever attaining Aura. D. Zelgor, on the other hand, was made to Aura farm. If you look at this Pokemon and don't think it has Aura, then I think there's something deeply wrong with you. It deserves triple S on principle. Our next bug is the one and only Kevin Durant. It's an ant alright, but I think it can definitely Aura farm in its natural habitat. The eyes definitely give off menace vibes, but aside from that, it does have Heatmore as its greatest predator. And, well, just look at Heatmore. I'm just gonna give this an Aura rating of B. Now, here's Larvesta, one of the few bug fire types in the entire series. Unova has a lot of bangers, and this is one of them. Yes, it's just a small little bug you could easily squash, but it's the principle that matters. Those eyes could stare right into your soul as it burns you alive with Ember. This is one of those Pokemon where you take one good look at it and know it's rare. Just being a fire type is already good enough, but it's got a lot going for it. This is a rare A that is a pre-Evo will ever get. If Larvesta is an A, then Volcarona is triple S. Having two back-to-back bangers for a bug line is exceedingly rare in Pokemon, so having a Gen 5 emit more aura than all of solo leveling is a reward in and of itself. Next, Genesect, one of the few mystical bug types, and the Pokemon that was altered by man. On its own, the cannon is a pretty good touch, and purple is a fantastic color for aura. The metallic plating it's got due to its steel type gives it far more menacing touch, though I don't think it can beat Scizor, but it is close. S. And now, we finally enter the Kalos region. Almost there. To make this easier on all of you, I'm just gonna write this entire line all at once, because this really is no different than Butterfree. They really love recycling the same similar butterfly motif across almost every region. D for every single one. And for... oh, wait, Gen 6 only gave us 3 new bugs. I don't know why, but I genuinely thought there were more. Well, I guess that's fine. On to Alola. And here's a line I'm willing to talk about. Robin's my guy. Sure, you can punt him across the field like you're about to win the state championship, but there's something tough about this little guy with pincers that could absolutely shred your 1-inch member. S. Charger Bug is a funny little cube, but it just does not have aura. D. Speak of both, however, where do we begin? The Kuwagata horns, the sleek wings, the fact it's a bug electric with levitate? When this bug got announced, college me was excited, believe me. Sure, it's lower than the average Twitter blue checkmark, but who cares? Double S. Kittyfly. Now, with a name like that, you probably wouldn't think it aura farms. And you're right. Not because it's a fairy type, don't get me wrong. It's because it's friend-shaped, and I don't think it could have the capacity to kill. Oh. Well, shit. With an entry like that, I have no choice. B. Herbombi is also friend-shaped, but no Pokédex entry to carry it. This is the Pokemon you want living as a roommate rather than if you need to intimidate someone. D. Dewpider has a pretty exotic design. I like the bubble helmet it has, and definitely has a sharper edge compared to Surskit. Plus, it actually makes fire type no longer neutral thanks to Water Bubble, so that's neat. All in all, I'm giving this one a C. Thankfully, Araquanid is even cooler, sporting a pretty great head design. The fact that it drowns Pokemon with bubbles before eating them is just tough. This one is a definite S as well. Wimpod is a D. Its entire existence is dedicated to being a wimp. There's not much you can really do about that. There's no aura in being a wimp, but all of that is made up by its evolution, Galactica. I'm being full transparent here. Next to Beedrill, this is one of my all-time favorite Pokemon. Not only does it sport one of the coolest designs, but it's used by one of my favorite Pokemon characters of all time. Emergency exit sucks, but that's just part of its charm. Run away, and then come back for a first impression sneak attack. With all of that said, I think I have to say that it does break it to triple S for me. It's just that good. But what's better than Golisopod? Mega Golisopod. Out of all the Pokemon I want to get a Mega, this was definitely one of them. To be honest, I suppose there's only so much they could have done without it feeling over-designed. Its base form was already well designed to begin with, though adding more would have ruined its balance. Truth be told, while I think it's still a good design, I just don't think it needs nearly as hard as the original in terms of aura. Like, the color scheme is a pretty pick, don't get me wrong. The decision to not stray too far from its original design is good, but it's the legs. I'm not a fan of it going quadrupedal. I think if they just kept it as bipedal and maybe enhanced the legs with that in mind, this could have easily been another triple S banger. Double S is fair though. Next up is Ultra Beast Buzzwole. It's definitely a Pokemon with a pretty odd design, though it's that oddness that helps make it stand out. Ultra Beasts have one of the cooler designs in the series for how alien and foreign they look. Now, if you know anything about mosquitoes, they're annoying to deal with when it's summer, and the only creature stronger than Saitama. So, what happens when you can turn them into a humongous muscular freak of nature? An unholy reprobate capable of sucking the actual life out of Snorlax. Look at him. If this wasn't a family-friendly anime, then Snorlax is just a lifeless, drained corpse. Buzzwole is, quite frankly, an anomaly in every sense, and for that, it deserves triple S. Next up is Pheromosa, who, out of every Ultra Beast, has the least alien design out of all of them. The fact that it looks like it's about to run the catwalk does not detract from its aura potential. Given its abundance of kicking, I think that it gives grounds for a double S. We're almost done now that we're approaching Gen 8 with the Scarlet region. Starting us off is Blipbug, who not only has no aura, but looks like a nerd with the bow and tie. D. Dottler is my guy though, but he has no aura, so D. Orbeetle kinda looks tough. In fact, his face sort of resembles a Gundam if you interpret it like that. The ladybug motif forming a UFO is also pretty cool. I'm giving it an A. Now, its Gigantamax form kinda does have sauce, I won't lie to you. Imagine staring down this enormous UFO that's T-posing. I'd fail the charisma save in the presence of its mere aura. Double S. Sizzlipede is a fun guy, though I don't think it's farming aura looking like one of those weird flat chairs. But it's still better than most pre-evolution bugs, so C. Scorch is an improvement, especially with the flames forming an X on its face. Gives me Endeavor vibes. Honestly, the face is what's carrying all the aura for me. Best I'll do is B. G-Max Scorch is humongous, so there's a slight improvement, though all it really does is just a much larger version of the original. There's nothing that really changes aside from the pattern sporting another circle. I'll give it an A. Now, next is everyone's favorite little fuck, Snom. This might be one of the greatest Pokemon that Game Freak has graced us with. I'd gladly give up my possessions and material wealth for it, but does it farm aura? No, D. Frostmoth is the far less popular of the two in terms of popularity. I do like its design, and I think the white patterns it's got really gives it a unique charm. I was originally gonna give it a C, but then I gave it another lookster with the TCG arts. Honestly, I think it could definitely farm, though not enough to push it to the high tiers, B. And so, at long last, we have reached Gen 9 with the Paldea region. And who do we start with then with Tarantula? I don't think I need to explain myself. D. Bidops, however, is another example of fine bug type aura farming. Even the art gives it some shadow to make it look more menacing on top of that facial expression. The way it forms a cat's cradle with its webs makes it look like it's about to commit a murder. Also, have you seen the EX art for it? That's just cool. I'm giving this one a personal double S. It's amazing, but I think the others at triple S are just a cut above. Nimble is a grasshopper. It doesn't have menacing traits, but I'd still think it aura farms better than most pre-evos. C. Low kicks. Triple S. Reller. Carrying a ball of literal doo-doo is minus 1000 aura. D. Rapska. I wouldn't say it's the bug of all time, and it's not my personal favorite. However, I do think it's noteworthy that it's one of the few Pokemon that gains access to Revival Blessing, a move that revives the Pokemon once per battle. Now, does giving Pokemon the Dende treatment mean it has aura? No, not really. D. Last but not least, we have Slizzerwing. And thank goodness we have something decent to talk about to end this ranking off on. Being a Paradox version of Volcarona, it really does look like a more primal version. I wouldn't say it outclasses the original, or rather its modern version, but it's definitely got that animalistic edge that gives it its Jurassic charm. So I think S works. And with that, we have gone through every bug type in the franchise. Not bad honestly, there were definitely plenty of hits and most of the shoddy ones were, as to be expected, the pre-evolutions. All in all, a solid performance. If you want to see another ranking done with another type, let me know in the comments. What bug do you think has the most aura? I'm curious to find out. With that, thank you again for your time, and I hope to see you later. Have a good rest of your day. Peace.